apostles and elders of great millstone, their respect to the world, teaching and preaching the truth all over the worldwide, and to the few aquas that are listening and learning. To you are your sincere shalom. Coming back into another lesson. It's basically what you see right before you is our people, wanting to go back to Egypt again. And what you brought up, what do you mean by that? I'm talking about, this place is like spiritual Sodom and Egypt. And the word Egypt means bondage. If you look, throughout the Old Testament, in the scriptures, particularly in basically Numbers chapter 14, and very other scriptures, as Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, through his servant Moses, leading our forefathers, to the promised land, that was promised, to our forefather Abraham, which, he promised that roughly paraphrased that he gonna get his seed this land, that the land was inhabited by, all the ice, the Jebusites, the Perizzites, the Hittites, the Amorites, so on and so forth. And as you see, as you read the Old Testament, you see time and time again that our forefathers, they, our forefathers, they rebelled against Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, and they rebelled against his servant Moses, time and time again, as they were being led, because a lot of time they complained about, about food. They were, always meditating on the fact that they had flesh pots in Egypt. They had this in Egypt. They would always, go back, want to go back to the land of Egypt, because they think that it's, better in their captivity than it is in their freedom. And if you look at what's going on today, you see that same spirit that was in our forefathers, when they was in the wilderness, being led to the promised land. You see that now. You can see that now. You can see the comparison, with them. And this is Numbers chapter 14, and we're going to start at the top. And this is the time, read Numbers chapter 13, they were spying out the land. They were spying out the land, and Moses sent 12 spies, the two famous spies, Joshua and Caleb. They was one of those 12 that went out to spy out the land. You know what I'm saying? And I believe it was, let me get that correctly. I believe it was the land of Jericho that they were spying out. You know what I'm saying? And as you read the Numbers 13, which you should read on your own time, you had the 10 spies that went with Joshua and Caleb. They came back with a negative report, talking about how big the Amalekites was, and we like grasshoppers in their sight, and we're not able to go up and take the land. But that shows you that you have particular people, that they have no faith in Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, even though that they witnessed the miracles, of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, and how he took down the Egyptians, and he parted the Red Sea, and he had the chariots was protecting them, a pillar of fire by day, and a pillar of fire by night. They seen all these miracles of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, but yet they always murmur and complain, because things didn't go the way that they want to. And a lot of times, if read, they made this reference on how they want to go back to Egypt, and that's the same thing you see today. But let's just read this. Like I said, this is Numbers chapter 14. If you read, the previous chapter before that, they spying out the land of Jericho, and you had the 10 spies came back with a negative report, but only 2 of them came back with the right report, which that was Joshua and that was Caleb. We're gonna go ahead and continue on. This is Numbers chapter 14, and this is verse 1. And all the congregation lifted up their voices and cried, and the people wept that night. And all the children of Israel murmured against Moses and against Aaron, and the whole congregation said unto them, would God that we had died in the land of Egypt, or would God we had died in this wilderness. And that shows you right there the lack of faith that our forefathers had, and you can see that going on today. Because our people, they don't believe that Yahweh Shem Yahushua is going to do what He said He's going to do. And that's those same spirits that are coming back today. Because anytime that you teach anything about that we're going to be great, or we're going to triumph over our enemies, and we're going to rule over them, our people have a problem with that, and they don't want to rule over their enemies. Matter of fact, our people want their oppressors to rule over them. They love when their oppressors rule over them. They oppressors make their lives live in hell. But as long as Jay gives the crumbs that falls from the master's table, from the oppressor's table, they okay with that. But anytime you speak anything about greatness among Jay, which we're talking about Jacob, the 12 tribes of Israel, they reject it. Particularly the tribe of Judah, they are the worst. They're the worst people to even tell that they the head tribe. Yahushua came out of the tribe of Judah. And our people, they get mad and upset when you talk like that. You can see that today. As we read in Numbers chapter 14, as you see our forefathers did back then, they doing the same thing now, because Solomon said in Ecclesiastes, I believe they were from, and there's nothing new under the sun. The same thing that happened back then is happening now. Because you got those same spirits that's coming back. That those who murmur and complaining in the wilderness and murmuring and complaining. About the manna. They complain about being thirsty. They wanted to eat the flesh pots. They want to eat the cucumbers and all this stuff. Them same people that were complaining like our forefathers did, you got those same people complaining today. Because anytime you said something about, Babylon the Great is going to be destroyed and all this stuff, you got our people, they're against that notion. Even though the scriptures prophesied that this place is going to be destroyed. And this scripture also prophesied that this kingdom is coming to an end. Our people have a problem with that. Because they don't have no faith in Yahweh Shem Yahushua. Because they're looking at Babylon the Great, they're looking at this place, even though that this place is decaying in all types of wickedness. They look at this place as this is a promised land. They looking at this place that we can build, we can set up shop here in the land of our captivity. That's the mindset of our people today. Just like it was when our forefathers left Egypt. Their mindset, when things got hard, they wanted to go back to Egypt. They wanted to go back into bondage. Even though that they see the miracles of Yahweh Shem Yahushua firsthand, they still want to go back to Egypt, and it's been many times in the scripture that Yahweh proved himself that he is our power. But you know, Jake being stubborn and hard-headed and rebellious as they are, you know what I'm saying, they still don't believe. You know, we can pull out the scripture, showing Jake that we're above these heathen nations, and showing Jake that we're going to be ruling in the kingdom. They have a problem there because particular Jakes are bought off and they pay for in particular Jakes. You know, they want their rulership on this side. They want their rulership on this side under the enemy's rulership. But we tell Jake that's not going to happen because the scripture tells us that we are above these other nations. That's in Deuteronomy chapter 7 verse 6. You know, it tells us that we're above these heathen nations. But yet our people don't believe it, man. They don't believe it. You know, Yahweh Shem Shah chose us, you know, that we're above these other nations. But our people still don't believe it, man. They still want to be under their oppressive rulership, just like it was back then. They wanted to go back to Egypt. You know, we read that in Numbers 14 and 2. But let's continue on with Numbers 14 and 3. And it reads, and wherefore had Yahweh brought us unto this land to fall by the sword, that our wives and our children should be a prey, if it were not better for us to return into Egypt. And that's the mindset of our people. You know, even though that they know that Yahweh delivered them out of their bondage. If you go back into the book of Exodus, you know what I'm saying, our people, our forefathers cried inside over the bondage that the hell that the Egyptians put on them. You know, which we know the Egyptians are the Hamites. You know, are the Hamites, and they put hell on our people, man. You know, they afflict them for pretty much 430 years. You know what I'm saying? We got afflicted by, you know, the Egyptians, our forefathers did. And they cried and they sighed over bondage. And here it is that Yahweh Shem Shah raised up a deliverer, which is, you know, Moses. You know, through the power of Yahweh Shem Shah, he raised up Moses to deliver his people out of the land of Egypt, of course with the help of Aaron, you know, to deliver our forefathers out of the land of Egypt. And they seen the miracles firsthand. You know, they seen the parting of the Red Sea. You know, if you go back to Exodus, I believe roughly around chapter maybe 13 or 14, you brothers could correct me on that. You know, they made a song about how, you know, Yahweh delivered them out of the hand of the Egyptians. You know, he delivered them out of the hand of the Egyptians. But then after that, they quickly forgot about Yahweh Shah, what he did for them, you know, to get them out of the land of Egypt. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? They started murmuring, complaining then about, you know, food and then about water and about this and about that. You know what I'm saying? It got to the point, you know, Yahweh got tired of them, man. He got tired of them. He pretty much said that these people, you know, Jay is a stiff-necked people. You know what I'm saying? And that's rightfully so, because Jake is a stiff-necked people. You know, all 12 tribes are stiff-necked people. You know, I ain't saying that you know, I'm talking about the majority of Israel are stiff-necked people. You know, you telling them about their heritage, you telling them about Yahweh Shem Shah, and he's going to deliver us the field of cherries with the elect, and he's going to come back to say the elect, and he's going to establish up the throne of David. Our people don't want to hear those things, man. They want to hear how they're going to make it on this side. And it's very sad that our people reject the words of the Lord But every idle word that the devil could say to them, they cleave unto it. Esau Edom is the gospel. Just like it was back then. They talking about going back to Egypt. Talking about our forefathers, but showing them they still had, they still trusting and leaning on Pharaoh. And the same Pharaoh that has oppressed and afflicted them, and they cried to get out of it. Now Yahweh Shem Al-Shai got them out of their situation. Now they want to go back. They want to go back. Why? Because they want to lean on the hands of Pharaoh. We're going to read that in the next verse, Numbers 14:4. And it reads, and they said one to another, let us make a captain, and let us return into Egypt. Does that not remind you of today? What did they do? In the time of Samuel, what did our forefathers do? Let us make a king. Let us be like the other heathen nations. And I believe that's in 1 Samuel chapter 8. When they said that let us make a king, and let us make a king and be like the heathen nations. And Yahweh told Samuel, let them have a king. Roughly paraphrasing. He said they didn't reject you, they rejected me. They rejected me from being their king. They rejected me from ruling over them. And that's the same sentiment today. You can just see how people ran to the polls, and you had particular celebrities talking about save us, Joe. You know what I'm saying? Talking about they wanted Joe Biden to save them. And our people thought that they got, had some type of victory when Joe Biden won the election, or so-called won the election. But nevertheless, though, you see now it turned out to be to their shame, because like our forefathers trusted Pharaoh back then, you got our people trusting in modern day Pharaoh now. You know what I'm saying? They reject Yahweh by Shem Yahushua. You know what I'm saying? You got particular people that they know that they Israelites. You know what I'm saying? They even trusting in this devil, man. They trusting in modern day Pharaoh. They trusting in modern day Pharaoh, and it's crazy. You know what I'm saying? That here it is that we're close to inheriting the kingdom of heaven, and our people they reject the words of Yahweh Shem Al-Shah. They reject the prophets, man, the men of the Lord. That's giving them this wise counsel. They reject the words of Yahweh Shem Al-Shai, and they cleave unto Egypt. You know what I'm saying? And if you read on down in Numbers chapter 14, you read on down, Joshua and Caleb, still the people, and telling them that we're able to take the land. Joshua and Caleb represented, their faithful elect, the northern and southern kingdoms. They came out with a good report. Saying that we could take the land. It's a very good land. Look at the grapes. Look at look at the cluster of grapes. Look how nice they look. Look how good, they look. Look, I bet these grapes are juicy. I'm roughly paraphrasing. We can take these people. Yahweh Shem Al-Shai with us. What did the scripture say? As the Lord be for us, who can be against us? Well, our people don't believe in those saying. They quote those scriptures. They said God before, who can be against us? But in their heart of hearts, they don't believe that Yahweh Shem Al-Shai with his people, man. They don't believe it. Just like you see it then. See it in Numbers chapter 14. They want to make a captain and go back to Egypt. What did the scripture say? We're gonna go back to Isaiah chapter 30. You know what I'm saying? Because this is the mindset of our people. It said, this is going to start at the top. This is Isaiah chapter 30, verse 1. It reads, woe to the rebellious children, said the Lord. that take counsel, but not of me, that cover with their covering, but not of my spirit, that they may add sin to sin. Verse 2, they walked to go down into Egypt, and have not asked at my mouth to strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh, and to trust in the shadow of Egypt. And that's the mindset of our people today. They trusted in this spiritual Egypt. We know that Babylon the Great is spiritually called Sodom and Egypt. And Egypt just basically means bondage. Our people, they trust in bondage. They trust in oppression. As you read on down in the same chapter, Isaiah 30, roughly around verse 10 through 13. They trust in oppression. You see? Why? Because our people, they love their oppressors. They don't want to rule over their oppressors. They want their oppressors to rule over them. You can just see the parallel that's going on with our forefathers back then, and you see it going on today. That's those same spirits that reject the word of Yahweh Shem Shah, and that's those same spirits because of their unbelief. It caused our forefathers, those who believe in Yahweh Shem Shah, were not even able to go to the promised land for 40 years. Why? They were holding up progress because they didn't have faith in Yahweh Shem Shah. They soon forgot the miracles that Yahweh Shem Shah did for them, man. For our forefathers, they forgot. They forgot about those miracles, and they trusted. They wanted to go back to Egypt because things wasn't going the way that they want to go. And that's the same thing what's going on today. Here it is. You got the biggest miracle of them all, that Israel has been raised up, and you can see prophecy is coming to pass right before their very eyes, and our salvation is nearer than what we believe. But you got those same rebellious spirits that was rebelling back then against Yahweh Shem Shah, against the servant of the prophet. You got those same spirits coming on now. Look at what's going on now. You got our people, they quickly rush to go vote. They quit to run and get the serpent juice, and then they look at you like you're the problem if you don't go and get their serpent juice. But these people ain't put out videos showing what happens when you take the quote unquote serpent juice. But I'm not gonna go too far into it. You brothers don't want to talk about, because our people, they trust in oppression. They trust in the land of Egypt. What did the scripture say? The scripture say, Isaiah 30:3. It said, therefore shall your strength of Pharaoh be your shame, and the trust the shadow of Egypt your confusion. And look what's going on in the Oval Office. You just thought you had a victory when you put Joe Biden in office. You thought that was a win-win situation for you. And you thought that you had Kamala Harris, she in office as vice president. Especially, the Judite woman, you Judite women really thought y'all had the victory. Y'all really thought y'all took a step in the right direction. But you kind of find out, you trust in the strength of Pharaoh, the strength of Egypt, is your shame. And it made you confused. Why is that? Because you jakes out there, you trying to find any other way to trying to get yourself out of these curses and out of the bondage that you're in. And the only way that you're going to be delivered the only way you can be delivered is through Yahweh Shem Shah. That's the only way that you're going to be delivered. Just like our forefathers were delivered by the hands of Yahweh Shem Shah in the time of being delivered out of Egypt. That's the same way, but it's going to be a greater deliverance, via the chariots, man. What did the scripture say? We're going to We're not gonna no longer be talking about Egypt. We're gonna be talking about being delivered from the land of the north. Let me get that real quick. This is Jeremiah chapter 16, and this is verse 15. Start at 14, and this is after the fact that the elect is going to be delivered from this wicked system we in now. Let's just read on. This is Jeremiah chapter 16 verse 14, and it reads, "Therefore behold, the days come, said Yahweh, that it shall no more be said, Yahweh liveth, that brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt." That's in the book of Exodus. Our forefathers got to live out of the land of Egypt, by the hand of Yahweh through his servant Moses and through Aaron. But let's continue. Verse 15, it said, "But the Lord liveth, or Yahweh liveth, that brought up the children of Israel from the land of the north, which is North America, Babylon the Great, and from all the lands whither he had driven them." And get what? We got scattered throughout the four corners of the globe. You can read that in Matthew chapter 24, roughly around verse 40. When Yahshua comes back, he's going to gather up his elect from the four winds, showing you that we're scattered throughout the four corners of the globe. So let's continue. He said, "I will bring them again into the land that I gave to their fathers." And guess what? This deliverance, via the chariots, is gonna trump the deliverance that our forefathers had when they got delivered out of the land of Egypt. This deliverance out of Babylon the Great, and you know what I'm saying, and from this beast system and from wickedness, it's gonna be greater than the deliverance that our forefathers had got out of the land of Egypt. You see, it's going to be a great deliverance, and it's going to be forever be talked about. This deliverance is going to trump the deliverance of Egypt. Like I said, you got our people. They trusted in the hand of Egypt. They trusted in the spiritual Sodom in Egypt, but it's going to be to their destruction. Just like our forefathers, when they rebelled against against his servant Moses and Aaron, and talking about let us make a captain and go back to Egypt. You know what I'm saying? And they, because of their unbelief, that our forefathers in that generation died off. 40 years in the wilderness, and I believe, that it would have took them, I believe, like a week or two to get to the promised land. But because of their unbelief, they wandered in the wilderness for 40 years, man. And you can imagine, I'm just speaking as a man, you could imagine how pissed off Joshua and Caleb was, man. And and those who had faith, who believed in Yahweh Yahshua, but they had to wait 40 years just to even enter the promised land. You know what I'm saying? I'm just speaking as a man. Shoot, I would have been hella pissed off. I believe in Yahweh Yahshua, and then you got the wicked Jakes. You know what I'm saying? And even though they seen the miracle, they murmuring, complaining, and wanting to go back to Egypt. And now here, him, I have to wait 40 years to get to the promised land. That'll make anybody upset. That shows you how destroyed mindset our people is, just like it was when our forefathers got to live out of Egypt. You know what I'm saying? Even though they see the miracles, but our people's mindset was destroyed by the bondage. Because they was in bondage for 430 years. You know what I'm saying? They mindset was, you know, it was gone. Even though that they seen the miracles, you know what I'm saying, they were so used to being in bondage, you know, when they see that this is new territory in them, they want to revert back to going to bondage because they want to go back to something that they were used to. You see, that's what you see going on now. Because here it is, you have the men of the Lord out on the highways, byways teaching and saying that this place is going to be destroyed. And you're seeing plagues and pestilence going on throughout the world, you know, not just Egypt, but throughout the whole world. You're seeing floods in China and Denmark and different other places. You know what I'm saying? You got different things. There's so much going on in the earth that you can't you know what I'm saying, you can't cover it all because there's so much stuff going on at one particular time. But we know that Yahweh Shem Al Shai, he's fighting for Israel. But yeah, you got the wicked 2/3, man. They still reject, they still don't believe. And that's the reason why this next deliverance is only going to be for the elect of the house of Israel, because all of Israel on this side is not going to be delivered. You know, they're going to have to just be reborn in the kingdom, but they're going to be of a lesser status than the elect. So, you know, that's it for a lesson. Just wanted to, you know, give you that comparison with, you know, our forefathers, you know, having unbelief when they got delivered out of the land of Egypt, and you can see that going on now. You got the 2/3 that don't believe that they're going to be delivered, man. You know what I'm saying? That's the reason why all of Israel is not going to be delivered on this side. And I pray that you brothers will edify. I want to give all praise, glory, and honor due unto Yahweh, Hashem, Yahweh Shah, Hashem, Shalom.